Welcome everyone to another episode of Reese's Roundup. I am your host, the Lightning Kid himself, and today we got a bunch of crap to talk about. First and foremost, the biggest topic of the week, Odell Beckham Jr. traded to the Cleveland Browns. He will now be playing alongside his former LSU teammate, Jarvis Landry. He now has a good quarterback in Baker Mayfield, and he has a good running back in Nick Chubb. Not better than Saquon, but a good running back in Nick Chubb. He is also now playing with a pretty solid defense. What does this mean for the Cleveland Browns? I don't think that with the addition of OBJ, they'll be the best team in the AFC North. I think before the addition of OBJ, they were going to be the best team in the AFC North. Adding OBJ just adds to that, just like cements that. So I think this is going to be a fun team to watch now that they have OBJ. Now that they have a good team, I think the Browns are going to win the AFC North. And I will be watching all of their games this season just to see how well they do. Who knows, maybe they'll suck because, it's the Cleveland Browns. But I'll be looking forward to seeing their games. They're going to be a fun team to watch. So I'm hoping that they really do well. I'm still sticking with the Arizona Cardinals. Please don't come at me in the comments. But I do want to see how good the Browns do this season. I'm sure everybody will be rooting for them because they are mad underdogs going into this. They've been the laughing stock of the league for the last 50 years. So it's finally time that they got themselves some talent that nobody hates. So I'll be looking forward to seeing how they do in this upcoming season. Next, we got Le'Veon Bell going to the New York Jets. 4 years, $52 million. Now, is this going to make the Jets better? Hell no. Somebody said in the comments, I was reading a comment on Instagram that they'll now have 7 points instead of 3. So I just don't see it. They don't have a good quarterback. They don't have any good receivers as far as I can remember. And their defense is wishy-washy. So I don't think the addition of a running back who hasn't played at all last season is going to really bust this team wide open. But there's still a whole lot of months left in free agency. There's still time. They can sign a bunch of players, but as of right now, I don't think the Jets are going to be a team to look out for. Next, you got Earl Thomas and Mark Ingram signing with the Baltimore Ravens. Earl Thomas's is 4 years, $55 million, and Mark Ingram's is 3 years, $15 million. I think the two of them are going to really help the Ravens, but I don't know. Lamar Jackson isn't a good quarterback, and they also don't have a good defense anymore. They got rid of half their defensive core, so I don't think that the Ravens will be the team that everybody thinks they're going to be in the upcoming season. But we'll see. I do still think the Browns are going to be the team to beat in the AFC North, but the Ravens will probably be a close second. So we'll see. Next, you got Dee Ford being traded to the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, this is coming off of a huge upset. Dee Ford was partially the reason why the Patriots were able to win that game against the Chiefs and go to the Super Bowl because of his, neutral zone infraction or offside? Something stupid like that. So they looked into it. They said, you know what? You're the reason we lost this game. You're being traded to San Francisco. But we'll see how it goes for him in San Fran. Next, you got Landon Collins going to the Washington Redskins. 6 years, $84 million. Wow! Landon Collins, he's decent. He's a pretty good safety. He had a really big breakout year a couple years ago when the Giants made it to the playoffs that year. But ever since then, he's been low-key quiet. He's still been playing rather well, but he hasn't been a big baller shot caller like he was in that playoff run for the Giants. So we'll see how he does in Washington with Josh Norman. But other than that, next you got Eric Weddle going to the Los Angeles Rams. 2 years, $11 million. This would have been a good signing for the Rams had this been 17 years ago. Eric Weddle is decent. He's obviously no longer in his prime. He's obviously no longer one of the best safeties in the league anymore. But they needed to compensate for LaMarcus Joyner not being on the team anymore. He signed somewhere else, so they had to sign somebody, and Eric Weddle, I guess, was the best guy they could go after. So next you got Adrian Amos signing with the Green Bay Packers. 4 years, $37 million. Now this is a very, 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 very good signing for the Green Bay Packers. Adrian Amos is very underrated. He played alongside Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson was obviously the best safety in the league last season, so he was kind of like Amos was kind of swept under the rug, but he had a really good season last season as well, playing alongside Eddie Jackson. So I think if he continues that with the Packers will be a good team. Now, does this mean that the Packers are set defensively? Hell no. They still need corners and linebackers and a defensive line, but, this is a good start. So we'll see how it goes for them in that, in the upcoming season. Next, you got Terrell Suggs and Jordan Hicks signing with the Arizona Cardinals. This would have been good for the Cardinals had this been 45 years ago for Terrell Suggs. But Jordan Hicks is a good signing. He's a really good linebacker, very underrated, so I look forward to seeing what he can do. But Terrell Suggs, I don't even think he'll see the field at all this season, so we'll see. But next you got Sheldon Richardson going to the Cleveland Browns. 3 years, $37 million. Sheldon Richardson, obviously, his glory days were with the Jets, but we'll see how he does in Cleveland. Next you got C.J. Mosley signing with the New York Jets. 5 years, $85 million. Wow! C.J. Mosley, obviously one of the best Alabama linebackers of all time. Does this mean that he will do the exact same thing in New York? I highly doubt it, but props to him for getting that money. We'll see how well the Jets do with that kind of defense now that he's on it. Next, you have LaMarcus Joyner. It's not really big news because LaMarcus Joyner isn't really all that. But for my Rams fans out there, he signs with the Oakland Raiders. 4 years, $42 million. Next, you got the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, signing with the Kansas City Chiefs after Eric Berry was released. Ooh, I'm a rapper. He signed with the Kansas City Chiefs, 3 years, $42 million. Now, obviously, they had to go get somebody after releasing Eric Berry due to having too many seasons with injuries, and so they sign a guy that has too many seasons with injuries. Next, you got Nick Foles signing with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The MVP Nick Foles. 4 years, $88 million. I think this is good for Jacksonville. Nick Foles is obviously he's a good quarterback. Clearly, as you can see with the Eagles, he won them a Super Bowl. He got them deep into the playoffs. Nick Foles is a good quarterback, but the guy does not have talent around him in Jacksonville. He has good defense, so obviously they can keep it low scoring. I don't know what happened to Jacksonville's defense last season. They played like absolute crap compared to the season prior to that. But other than that, I think with the addition of Nick Foles, he'll obviously bring leadership to that team, so that way their defense will spark more. But he needs receivers, and obviously Leonard Fournette dealing with injuries, so who knows how he'll bounce back. They obviously lost T.J. Yeldon as well, so they won't have that 1-2 combo. So they'll be heavily reliant on Leonard Fournette unless they sign somebody else. And with the injuries that he dealt with last season, I don't think he can take that workload, but we'll see. Obviously, they got to adjust the receiving situation. I don't even know who's on that team when it comes to receivers, so that's a problem. Other than that, Nick Foles, congratulations, get your money, man, because the Eagles definitely cheated you out of a starting job. I think if the Eagles started Nick Foles from week 1 to week 17, they would have been undefeated, and we'd be talking about him being the greatest of all time. I'm kidding. Next, you got Golden Tate. Last but not least, you got Golden Tate signing with the New York Giants. 4 years, $37 million. Obviously, this means that he'll be traded by the end of the season, so don't worry, Giants fans, you're in luck. But this is a good deal for the Giants. Golden Tate's obviously a very, very underrated receiver. The guy can ball. He was balling in Detroit. He was balling in Seattle. So this is obviously a good team for him to be on. As long as they address the quarterback situation. Giants fans, talk to me. What are you guys going to do with Eli? I know Eli is way past his prime. He's a good playoff quarterback, but you got to get to the playoffs first, guys. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Obviously, I didn't talk about every single signing that happened, just the big names. I'll probably be back next week to talk about the bigger names, if any bigger names sign with teams. But let me know what you guys think about these signings. Did any players sign with your team or was traded to your team? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you guys next week. I'm out. Peace.